the actual red line, defending.
I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
Thank you very much, Ian Wright. People deluded, I'm back again. As you know, loan report business. I like to track the progress of all our loanees, specifically the young players. I try not to really pay attention to the Pepes and Maries. You know, hopefully he's recovering well from that crap incident he was subjected to a few weeks ago. I try to look at the young players. Now, I say young subjectively, you know, they are still sort of young. You've got older players, which, you know, every time I look at Ainsley Maitland-Niles from a statistical point of view, 25 years of age, you know, over 100 appearances for Arsenal, closing in on such if he hasn't done that already in the Premier League. And then you've got, you know, the Norton Coffees and, you know, who's gone on a second loan, obviously, and Charlie Patino and the rest of them sort of guys who are, you know, at the elementary stage. And then you've got the medium term, the Baloguns and John-Jules, who have been, well, John-Jules has been on more than a couple loans, but Balogun's obviously been on his second loan spell, first one in the top division. There's many twists, turns, bumps and bruises as a footballer. You know, progression in life, football's no different, is never linear. You know, if you have good moments, you're going to be faced with adversity, like you've seen with Smith Rowe and Saka, who hasn't gone on loan, but talking about youth development. And there's many things, you know, football's a very political game, and for these young players, they understand it. Obviously, they've had to go through a lot, probably from 8 years of age through to under 16s. And obviously, this is their first step in the, well, for some anyways, or their first real steps into the senior game. And as you know, there's a variety of reasons as to why you might be playing or not playing. You could be doing everything right in training. The manager just doesn't trust you. The manager favors other players who may be in better or worse form. Tactically, it might benefit you or not. You do have to show patience, because sometimes you might be doing nothing wrong. You're just not in the team. There's many different bumps and bruises. And obviously, when you come through Arsenal, you're kind of tailored to play one way, the Wenger ball and things like that. And other clubs might not necessarily care for that. Like, you could be fantastic technically, and I back you to shine in League One, but if your loan club is playing direct football, it might not. You might have to tailor your game. Now, obviously, Arsenal, I believe, in better years, you know, in the last few years, have been picking better loan clubs for a number of our players. You look at, for me, Austin Trusty. He's probably, you know, him and Charlie are doing quite well in the Championship. They're probably candidates for loan players of the season at this moment. Norton Coffey's progressing very well as expected. Balogun set himself a target of 10 league goals. He's got 8, so that's clearly working. You know, Tavares, I'm still not necessarily convinced, people, but he is improving. So without any more waffling, let me share my good old Google Doc sheet. Hopefully you lot can see that all crisp and that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Now, Pepe scored a penalty for Nice. As I said, I'm not really tracking them kind of man, but he scored a retaken pen after he got an opportunity against Lyon. And I believe Lacazette, I only watched the highlights of that. I believe Lacazette scored as well. So that's one for the Arsenal players. You know, not Smith Rowe, Ainsley Maitland-Niles now is probably the end of his Arsenal career, and this loan is probably designed to put him in the shop window. Doesn't look like that is forthcoming, but he did get 30 minutes off the bench against Sheffield United. That might even be Sheffield Wednesday, you know, I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday, so that's a typo from me. But anyways, they won 6-5 on penalties. He scored his pen, typical Ainsley Maitland-Niles penalty, as some of you already know. He did get to feature against Liverpool in the 3-1 defeat in the Premier League. I believe that's technically his 8th appearance of the season for Southampton, people. I think he was steady in the minutes he played. He wasn't necessarily to blame for their performance. Not really a standout one, but yeah. And he's a seasoned vet. He's been, you know, he's an England international. He's a success story from our academy, really and truly. He's come through our academy. He's been capped by the club. He could have probably been sold for 20 million upon one moment in time. Wolves and Everton previously interested in him, and he's 25 years of age right now. He knows better than all of us. You know, as you can see, my initial note says new manager incoming. Ralph has been sacked. Obviously, they've announced the new manager, so everybody starts from zero. Beyond the obvious, players that, pardon me, may have not had a look in might get a new lease of life with their manager. Some players that were getting a look in, their days might be numbered, so he's going to have to do it all over again. In football, you're always trying to prove something, and I remember a few years ago he he done like a little interview on Arsenal.com, and he spoke about one of the best piece of advice is from his dad. And his dad kind of said, you're always impressing in football. You have to go out there and always impress someone. So hopefully he keeps developing people and gets some starts and some real minutes. Tim Akinola, at this moment in time, I've got nothing to say on him. Nicholas Muller, in the game that, based on the highlights, he played the second string Ajax side, young Ajax, their reserve side, and they drew 4-4. He got 2 goals, he got 90 minutes, and he also scored a dramatic goal. His second goal was with 7 minutes left to play. So hopefully he starts continuing what he's doing, getting some minutes, ultimately playing well and putting himself in the shop window. You never know at Arsenal. Probably unlikely he makes the grade here. You know, Mika Beref, again, nothing really at this moment in time for me to report on. The highlight of his loan spell for me would be his 2 goals against Groningen off the bench. But since then, not really much to comment on in them in that really. Against Luton, Brook Norton-Coffey had played 45 minutes and he was subbed at half-time. I do think it was terrible defending from the whole team for the equaliser. He's had a good loan spell, as you'd expect, and he's progressing well, and he might just have a future at Arsenal. I rate it as 50-50, maybe even 60-40. I think he's got everything we look for Arsenal. I think he's got the mentality that Arsenal will love, specifically Mikel Arteta. I think he's progressing well. Obviously, he's got a lot to work on defensively and offensively, and he's even improving his crossing. You know, for me, just my opinion, the only reason I couldn't see him making it Arsenal is the obvious. If there's just simply not enough game time for you, you're going against Ben White and Tomiyasu at this moment in time, maybe another right back if Cedric departs. And, you know, tactically what they give you, both offensively and defensively in all their actions, for obvious reasons, he's a long way off. And I believe in the final third, his crossing has improved, but that's in the modern day, you've got to probably bring a bit more to the table as a fullback. But you can, at one hand, at 18, turning 19 in January, you're not going to really improve your technical level, but, you can make some improvements. And I think whether he makes it at Arsenal or not, he'll have a good career. And I'm happy Arsenal have tied him down. I think he's got an elite mentality, especially away from home, and sometimes that can make you over succeed, really. I really believe in him. So, yeah, keep doing your thing, Brooke. He played in the draw against Luton, and they drew 1-1. Again, against, I cannot say that name there, people, but, Miguel Aziz played in the 2-0 win against Palencia Sisto. I can't even pronounce that. Is that even a typo from me? Let me actually check my initial notes, people. I don't actually think so, but let's have a look. And again, it's not he's obviously building on his experience. He's played 8 games, not significant minutes. Like, just looking on transfer mark, people, he's only completed 90 minutes twice, really. So it's a bit of a stop-start one. But yeah, people, in that regards, in fact, I don't even know what team name that is. If I'm completely honest, that that must have been in the cup competition or something, because I do remember we spoke about the Levante game. But yeah, he got 74 minutes, so he's starting to build in confidence and build on his experience from Portsmouth, people. He's made 8 appearances in the league, 9 in all comps. So he's building on his experience. Again, that's 19 appearances across the senior game. So you're not going to expect someone to be amazing, really. But hopefully he keeps developing, really. I'm not too sure if Miguel Aziz will make the grade, but he's got the ability to. Marcelo Flores got 86 minutes as his side won 3-2 against RS Gimnastica. And again, like I said, the minutes are currency. He's had to be a bit patient, and he's already had a different manager as well. This is why I'm such a fan of these players going out on loan, because again, at first team level, some of them, not really many of them, but some players at Arsenal have been there with Wenger, Emre, and Arteta. Probably only one, really and truly. Some have definitely, the majority of them have definitely been there. Well, I say majority subjectively, but a number of players have been there when Emre and Arteta was there. So you have to deal with different managers and different requirements and better in turbulent times as a professional footballer. Ryan Elaboso played in his side's 4-0 defeat to Dundee, people. He's got 12 Scottish League appearances to his name. He played 34 minutes before he came off with injury, and he's doing well over there in Scotland. At this moment in time, I've got nothing to say on Gombo as well. Hopefully next week we have something more. I know the international break has put a stop to things. I don't think there's action where Patino's concerned with Blackpool and Brook Norton-Coffey with Rotherham at this moment in time. Arthur Okonkwo is going from strength to strength over there at Crewe, really, and that's what you want to see. He played in the 1-0 victory against Colchester. Obviously, scoring is one thing, but you need to keep balls out the back of your net. And he made 6 saves in the game. I think he was vital to their team winning. And I don't really think Crewe defends significantly well, if I'm honest with you. As you can see there, he's progressing. Statistically, he's played 17 games, got 6 clean sheets, been given man of the match 5 times, conceded 20 goals. He's made 55 saves out of the 75 he's had. You know, he's made 34 saves out of 47 from inside the box. He saved 23 of 28 from outside the box. He saved 2 or 3 penalties. You know, he's made 9 clearances, 182 ball recoveries. He's won 8 of his duels won, and his passing accuracy is above average at 55%, really. So these are things you're going to need to improve to have a career. The interim manager at Crewe, another one that's having to deal with manager changes, he said Arthur is a real learner. That's the biggest compliment I can give him. He's willing to learn, and that's the most encouragement. You know, you could be the best keeper in the world, you know, the best player with Messi and Ronaldo, but if they thought at some moment that they know it all, they're not going to get to their level. So being a good learner, being able to intake information, retain it, and crucially apply it is what young players have to do, and Arthur's doing that. So it's lovely for me to hear his current manager saying such. He's been willing to take himself out of his comfort zone by taking possibly the toughest loan he could have done away from his family and friends. And, you know, isolation breeds elevation 9 times out of 10. And to be outside your comfort zone, you've got to do that. He could have stayed at Arsenal, trained, maybe played in the cup if Carl Hein, based on Carl Hein getting an appearance. But what's that going to do for you? He's got 17 games. That's significant minutes, really. He's been a real asset, and long may that continue, because he's a learner. It means he'll only get better. Amen, Bell. Amen, Mr. Bell. So, yeah, big up for Okonkwo. Unfortunately, Tyrese John-Jules has suffered. Is what it is. We're just going to have to deal with it, and eventually he will be able to shine, really and truly. And it's upsetting, because for me, he should be there where Balogun and Eddie are. You know, we've got 3 quality strikers. You know, for me, obviously his goal scoring record in the senior game isn't the biggest and baddest, and that's what he's got to need to improve in. But I do believe he's got the ability to score goals. He's very much the modern striker. He can play in a number of roles. He almost does the Lacazette thing and plays like a 10. He can score goals. He can assist. Physically, he's over 6 foot, so he can throw himself about. Very good technically, got an eye for a pass. You know, just naturally with all these young players, just need to improve and take it to the next level. But unfortunately, he suffered a hamstring injury, which allegedly requires surgery. Now, I'm no doctor, but that probably means you're out for a significant period of time. As you can see here, courtesy of copy and paste on the internet, Tyrese has a hamstring injury and is under specialist review at the moment as to whether it needs surgical repair. It's quite a major tear, which is also very disappointing. So either way, he's probably going to be out for a while, because if it's a major tear, you know, again, I'm no doctor. Hopefully, you know, it's a thing where he doesn't require needing to go under the knife. He's able to let it repair naturally, probably be out for a while of time. But if the surgical route or surgical repair is the right thing, then we need to get that done so that we can see less of this. It's 2 big losses for the group, and 2 players who I feel were primed to start coming into their own in the next few months. That was also in relation to Ipswich, have had a couple of injuries, but this is life, man. You could be riding high in April, shut down in May, but cream always arises to the top. And I've said it before, you know, whether Tyrese makes it at Arsenal or elsewhere, I think he will have a good career, people. So yeah, man. Hopefully he gets through that. Again, it's not really the lone spell to remember for Omar Rekic at this moment in time. I don't know if in fact he's been called up to the Tunisia World Cup squad. Pretty sure they're in it, but yeah, he's been injured. These are the moments from last time. Nothing of significance really. Not played significant minutes and things like that. Shout out to Alex Kirk, but I've personally got nothing to say at this moment. Check out last week's review for any of the guys we've missed out. Obviously, Harry Clark featured in the 2-0 defeat to West Brom. He did clear a shot off the line, but then a poor header from him almost cost his team, and he had to be bailed out. I did think he had a so-so game. He had better and worse periods. He always provides an engine and tries for the team, but it weren't really a game of note. But minutes are currency. Austin Tusty obviously got to play against Sunderland people. I feel he had a terrible first half. I think him and his fullback found it tough to defend, and he was getting pulled out like he would in a back 3 into wide areas probably too often. And, you know, the Sunderland players were kind of taking advantage of that half space. As I said, I'm only watching Birmingham for him, not Troy Deeney, not Hannibal, not any of these guys. I'm watching specifically for him, and he's developing quite well. Bit disappointed he didn't make the World Cup squad, but America have a strong group of players, people. So yeah, didn't think he looked over his shoulder for Sims of Sunderland to bag. I didn't think he did enough to stop Diallo's lovely goal. You know, Amad Diallo, the Manchester United loanee, it's a fantastic goal. He's cut in basically from the right hand side and pull it in with his left, but Tusty's and his whole team really have invited him to do that. Really, nobody's really stopping him. No one's really trying to show him outside. No, everybody's kind of inviting him on his favored left foot. Take nothing away from the effort from the young man. It was amazing. But yeah, I think he had a 5 out of 10 performance in such game. But you can't be amazing every week. Charlie Patino, people, he missed the West Brom game due to illness, as I think I stated last week. He played in the 2-1 defeat against Wigan, people. He got a lovely assist, a typical Charlie and Arsenal assist, basically at the halfway line, you know, essentially, well, just a bit above it, you know. Again, I'd implore you to watch the highlight. It's a lovely pass from the left-hand channel near the halfway line. It's also a lovely play from the striker to bag, because it's a lovely weighted pass over the top from Charlie, but you know, the strikers had to bring it down and had a lot to do, but that's what he's about, in it, and he's developing, man. I think he's developing well in terms of the ugly aspects: pressing, defending, holding your own when people are trying to kick 2 bells out of you. And he's marrying that with obviously what Charlie's about. I mean, he's got Spanish and English blood, very cultured, come through the Arsenal system via Luton when we bought him, and he's very much a cultured player. And you're just hoping he keeps continuing this. You know, we've got to slow cook these young players, but things are falling into place for him. Hopefully, he gets his new deal, because if you type his name in, Barcelona allegedly looking at him, people. That was his second assist in the Championship. I think he was very cool and composed under pressure, but beyond that, nothing really of note. But lovely from Charlie. Big up Balogun. He got 32 minutes against Montpellier in their 1-1 draw. And I saw these comments online, and I just thought they were interesting, really. You know, it's on the Liga website, but they said, would you say that it's helpful to have come up at a big club, or does that bring extra pressure through the weight of expectation? I think you progress a lot faster when you become an adult faster. In a big club, a lot of young people are pushed out every year. When you are so young and you're not kept on, it can be a huge slap in the face. As a result, you learn very quickly that you have to improve constantly if you want to stay. Playing in a renowned academy also allows you to progress more quickly, because the technical level there is better. You learn a lot because you are trained by and you train with the best in the country. In the end, whether you come from a big club with huge, it doesn't matter if I come from Arsenal and people have a lot of expectations, because no one will expect more from me than myself. As long as I'm happy at the level I hoped for, everything is fine. Very mature conversation, and I can't say anything away from that. Apologies, people. I'm having building work, so you're going to hear a drill. He said, you mentioned the fear of not being kept on. Like I said, I was copying and pasting some segments. Go and read it all for yourself. You mentioned the fear of not being kept on. There were times when it looked dicey for you. And this shows you football's a funny old game of opinions. Yes, from the age of 16, Arsenal offered a scholarship to some of its players. The season before I turned 16, I was one of the worst players in my team. And, you know, him and Saka are the same age group. Saka's gone from strength to strength. Amichi's not here anymore, but he's come through. And my man, you know, has come all the way through, signed a new deal, basically in Arsenal's first team and playing in a top 5 division at this moment in time. Whether he has a long-term future at Arsenal is down to him, really, and his development. But it shows you people develop at different rates. And by his own admissions, I was one of the worst players in my team. I wasn't playing very well. At the end of the season, I had the discussion with the coaches, and it wasn't very positive. They told me that I was not at the level they expected. I thought they weren't going to keep me. It made me think, but I told myself I only had 2 options: go hard or go home. And at 16, I had my best season ever. I was the top goal scorer in the team. I must have scored 40 goals. Even I was shocked at the transformation. Amazing, you know. We only know how strong or how well we are when we're backed into a corner, fight or flight. You either coil into a ball and succumb to whatever is going to happen to you, or you fight back against it. So I think that's lovely, because adversity is something that's never going to go away from footballers. Even people like Smith Rowe, took him a while to get his chance really at first team level, flying high, capped by England, new contract, number 10, unfortunately suffered an injury. Bukayo Saka going from strength to strength, but even he's met adversity. Obviously, he missed a penalty for England and things like that. You look at Martinelli, you know, in 2019 or something like that, he was playing in the 4th division in Brazil. By 2020, he was a Brazilian Olympic champion. Then he had a massive injury. Then he wasn't necessarily in Arsenal's starting 11. Now he is. And, you know, these things are going to fluctuate. This happens all the time. You look at Cristiano Ronaldo, way before he went to Real Madrid, you know. Do you remember the 06 World Cup? He had an amazing campaign. He kind of came back to this country because of the Rooney thing and was public enemy number 1. Then he had an amazing season. Adversity will happen to you. And it's something that young players, especially nowadays, you know, with the social media and everybody's a wonder kid after 30 minutes of football, is not going to go away. So big up to Balogun, really and truly. Mature comments. You know, again, Tavares played in the 3-2 win against Monaco. Back-to-back wins for Marseille after a bit of a wobble period. They are still in a poor run of form. He did have the chance to score and also did very poor in that regards. And I actually think it was a poor game from him. But, you know, every game brings you confidence and hopefully you return to Arsenal a better player, whether that's going back on loan, being involved in Arsenal's first team or being sold for a profit. The main thing is that you build confidence. And he's been speaking about his Marseille time. He said, I feel great in my new team. I gained confidence from my first days thanks to the welcome of my teammates and the support of fans. It was essential for me. So, yeah, man, obviously, that's the main thing, really. Obviously, you want to see him, for me, improve a tenfold defensively and also in the final third, shoot when you need to shoot, pass when you need to pass, and obviously just be a bit more productive. But I think all the loan spells have been good in their own ways. We've picked good clubs, you know, Austin Tusty to Birmingham, Rotherham have picked up Brook Norton Coffee. I did think Ipswich is a good fit for Tyrese, but obviously he's injured, so that's nothing of Ipswich or Arsenal. Balogun at Reims and many others, people. There's some, you know, even Ryan over there in Scotland. There's some good loan spells. Obviously, there's, you know, from an Arsenal perspective, you want all of them to be playing. It doesn't always mean it's been a poor choice of a loan club if someone's not playing, because at the end of the day, these loan players have to give the manager of these loan clubs every reason to play them, because, again, in a nice way, they don't care that you're from Arsenal. Essentially, they're developing a player that's not going to be with them. So if they feel you're not currently ready, they need to protect their job and get 3 points, or the scrutiny is going to be on them. So, yeah, I think all the loans are progressing. You know, the main thing is minutes, and some are getting more minutes than others. But the vast majority of the players, whether they're doing well or not, are getting stronger because they're playing minutes, and they're all getting more minutes than they would have had they have stayed around Arsenal's first team. Balogun probably wouldn't have got a look in. Patino and Brook would have struggled. You know, Nuno Tavares wouldn't have been able to play. Tomiyasu play left back ahead of you. And you've also got Tierney, who can't really buy a game. And you've got the big dog Zinchenko, who's first choice, if fit. So, yeah, man, you want all of these players to keep developing, come back next season in pre-season and assess the next steps, whether that's leaving the club permanently, being sold for a profit, going back out on loan, or Mikel Arteta giving you an opportunity, you know, in the Holy Grail, and that we playing the champs. Like Tavares has been exposed to that. You know, if I was a footballer, the first season I was playing the champs, I want to play in it every year, whether I'm going to win stuff or not. So, yeah, people, with that being said, please don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notifications, hit the like button, give me your own opinions. I'm no expert. I don't know everything about all these players, but I like to see our development. And I know a number of you on my channel like to share the same passion as well. So, yeah, as usual, as I said, please smash the like button, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications, check out my descriptions for all my socials, check out the Loan Report playlist on my channel as well as them all. Make sure you're following on Twitch. Most importantly, people, you lot stay blessed, stay safe, stay in good health. I wish you and your loved ones good health, and we'll buck up again soon, man. Check out the rest of the vids, but for now, I'm gonna love and leave you lot. People, deluded.
There's always that active red line defending.
I think it's like